بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما أسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجهه الكريم. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Lillahi ta'ala. Inshallah ta'ala, we're going to continue. We reached up to page 122 in our book. And inshallah, I want to, as I told you before, I want to read through a lot of this because I think most of the points, the foundational points that we want to discuss have been covered. And the rest of what we're going to go through is just more examples of the same point, right? And the examples are usually used to clarify the points more. But I think we got that. And I want to get through the book, then have a review of the main points in connection to what is relevant to us today, right? And give us a way to identify the correct points, the correct creed of Ahl Sunnah, and to protect ourselves from the bad creed. Knowledge is in stages. Our teachers, they told us that whoever tries to acquire all of the knowledge at once will lose the knowledge in its entirety. Whoever tries to acquire all the knowledge at one time will lose it in its entirety. And in another way, they said, knowledge is taken in stages. You have knowledge for beginners, knowledge for intermediate people, knowledge for advanced people. Not every level is the same, right? This, what we've been covering, is really advanced knowledge. So this book is really for advanced people of knowledge. However, then you would ask, well, why are you covering it if we're mostly intermediate or beginners? Because in our environment, one of the problems that we're faced with is they give us knowledge that is for advanced people, but they give it to us as if it's for everyone. And those ideas enter our mind, and now they cause confusion and prevent us from learning at our stage properly. So you're forced to dispel a lot of wrong understandings to get you back to the correct understanding, which is the reverse way. You're really supposed to learn the correct way. And then once you learn the correct way, when you're faced with false concepts or beliefs, you know how to deal with them, right? And you only need enough knowledge to dispel the false notion. Unfortunately, we've been bombarded with false ideas and false notions and bad convictions, right? So now we spend a lot of our time, instead of learning the proper way, dispelling the false ideologies that have been presented to us. Do y'all follow that? Why I'm saying why we sometimes go to advanced things to bring us back to basic things. We have a lot of things we have to untangle. I'll give you one quickly. Maybe I shouldn't go to this, but I will. If we had more knowledgeable teachers, people like me could just be students. If we had more knowledgeable teachers, let me rephrase that. If we had more knowledgeable teachers who are engaged with the people for the benefit of the people, people like me could sit down and just learn. Follow my words. I think they're very important. If we had more knowledgeable people who were engaged with the common people at the level of the common people, people like me would not be needed and we could just sit down and learn. Did y'all follow what I mentioned there? There are several indications in what I said. Number one, that I am not a knowledgeable person, right? And if you think I'm knowledgeable, that lets you know how much we've been cheated. That's an indication. I said, if we had more knowledgeable people who are engaged with the common people at the level of the common people, people like me would not be needed and we could sit down and just learn. You follow? But unfortunately, the knowledgeable people are not engaged with the common people at the level of the common people. Hence, you have common people who have to try to do the work of the knowledgeable people, which is backwards. But that's the condition we're in. That's the condition we're in. Unfortunately, we can't do anything about it. So, as Sheikh Walid used to say to us 30 years ago or 27 years ago, we are teachers by necessity. Had there been scholars, we would sit down and learn. We are teachers by necessity. Had there been scholars available, we would sit down and learn. But unfortunately, they're not available, so we have to do the work. So my message to the learned people is stop criticizing the common people for being outside their lane and do your job. That would allow the common people to remain common people. All right. But if you're not going to do your job properly, then others will have to do it because we can't die. We have to learn. Even if we learn in stages, we have to learn. We cannot just die. We cannot do that. We have to learn. Tell you. So with that said, I want to get through these advanced books so that we have an understanding. Then we can go back to basic books and build our understanding. Is y'all clear on my point? Is it clear for everyone? This stuff takes a lot of patience to do what we're doing. A lot of patience. A lot of patience, a lot of dedication, and a lot of steadfastness. It's a very difficult job. What we're doing, it's not easy. I'll give you an analogy of this. Usually, I'm going to give you an analogy in war so you can see what we're doing, make it a little bit more clear quickly before we start reading. I'm going to give you an analogy of war. Y'all ready? Fighting in battle is general a communal obligation. So to fight against, right, the enemy who's opposing is a communal obligation. Meaning, if some people do it, the rest are free from the responsibility, except when the Muslim land is attacked, the land itself, then every able person is obligated to defend the land. Even the ones who are not soldiers. Even the ones who are not soldiers have to help because the land is being attacked. So everybody got to defend. No one is, whoever's able-bodied, they got to defend the land, not just the soldiers. But normally, if it's outside, it's the soldiers who have to do that. But when the land is attacked, everyone has to do it. Us as a community, we're in that situation. Our religious land, our knowledge is attacked. And the soldiers are not enough to defend. The soldiers, meaning the learned people, they're not enough. So now everyone has to engage. Now everyone has to engage. All hands on deck. We have to protect our land, which is our faith. If we don't do it, we're going to die. We have to defend it. And we cannot just die. We cannot be slaughtered. We have to defend ourselves. And we're talking about with the religious knowledge. If someone doesn't do it, no one, and there's not enough soldiers, we got to do it ourselves. You follow? That's the analogy we're in. Okay, inshallah, let us start. We're on page 122. Bismillah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. The author, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy upon him, said, in response to his example of istiwa and aboveness, it is well known that Ibn Taymiyyah affirmed aboveness, fawqiyya, for Allah Ta'ala. In other words, he believed creation is physically under Allah Ta'ala in a place, a locus, and a confined boundary. He believed that Allah Ta'ala's place, location, and boundary is above the creation. This is the meaning of aboveness, according to both him and the anthropomorphist. In addition, Ibn Taymiyyah believed that
here. So after that last statement, put this. It says, وَهُوَ مَعْنَى الْفَوْقِيَّةِ عِنْدَهُ. This is the meaning of aboveness according to him, and the anthropomorphist is there. I didn't hear you say that. I'm sorry. Right?
Correct.
When we say anthropomorphist, al-mujassima, they're talking about al-mujassima in the past. Please pay attention to this. The term al-mujassima as well as and al-mushabbiha right? Both those terms, those groups, they were groups who existed in the third, the end of the time of the Salaf, 3rd, 4th, 5th century, right? And they were mainly located in Baghdad, Iraq, right? There were a group of people who were mainly in Iraq. They spread other places, but in Iraq, they were abundant, al-Mujassima. And they were affiliated with the Hanbali madhab. This is before Ibn Taymiyyah. Please understand history. So those Mujassima, those anthropomorphists, they had ideas, they had beliefs, right? Ibn Taymiyyah came in the 8th century, 7th, 8th century, and renewed those ideas that were stomped out by Imams al-Ash'ari, Imam al-Ghazali, and Imam al-Razi. Please remember these names. So al-Mujassima, they were in the beginning of the or the end of the 4th century. In the 5th century, that's when they were spread, right? In Iraq. And those Mujassima, They had ideas. They were mainly Hanbali. So the Mujassima Mushabbiha. They were refuted, their ideas were refuted and exposed by the great Imams like Imam al-Ash'ari, who was in Iraq, like later Imam al-Ghazali in the 6th century, 5th and 6th century, like Fakhruddin al-Razi in the 6th and 7th century, in the beginning of the 7th. Those great Imams before Ibn Taymiyyah, all of them refuted the ideas of al-Mujassima that were in the 4th, 5th centuries. Are y'all clear with me? History is very important. So when Sheikh Saeed mentioned the idea of fawqiyah, aboveness by place and location and confinement, that this was the belief of Ibn Taymiyyah, and he said, كما هو معناها عند المجسمة, as it was the opinion of the Mujassima. That's how they thought. So Ibn Taymiyyah only rehashed the ideas of al-Mujassima after those ideas were exposed and refuted by the likes of Imam al-Ash'ari, Imam al-Ghazali after him, and Imam Fakhruddin al-Razi after him, and other Imams in between that. But those great Imams like Ibn Furak and al-Bayhaqi and all of those, right? They exposed those. So Ibn Taymiyyah came after those ideas were wiped out. But he wasn't no Mujassima. Ibn Taymiyyah came in Damascus in the 7th and 8th century, and he renewed those ideas. He brought them back. So then Ibn Taymiyyah came with those ideas, and these were among them, that Allah is above, that Allah is in the place. Now, Ibn Taymiyyah was refuted by the great scholars of his time, like Taqiyuddin al-Subki, Ibn Ata'illah, Taqiyuddin al-Husni, and others who came after him, right? Tajuddin al-Subki, Ibn Hajar al-Haythami, right? All of these great, so many scholars spoke about the misguidances of Ibn Taymiyyah, right? Then later on in before us, in the 13th and 14th Hijri centuries, 1800s in our time, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, out of Najd in Saudi Arabia, Najd, he renewed the ideas of Ibn Taymiyyah again in our time. And we're still, so the modern day Wahhabi Salafi movement is a rehashing of the ideas from Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, who rehashed the ideas of Ibn Taymiyyah in the 7th and 8th century, who renewed the ideas or rehashed the ideas of al-Mujassima wa Mushabbiha in the 4th, 5th century Hijra. Everyone follow that? You got to follow history. These are not new ideas. They have an origin. Their origin was with al-Mujassima and al-Mushabbiha in Iraq in the 4th and 5th centuries. And the scholars in Islamic history have dealt with those ideas. So it's a renewal of the same concepts. Y'all follow me? Is this clear? And I said we was just going to read and get through this. Hey, read, I try, but some points are very significant and important. Go ahead.
In addition, Ibn Taymiyyah believed that rising is settlement above the throne. The throne is a physical thing possessing boundaries and limits from the direction of above and below. Since Allah Ta'ala is, according to
a physical thing here, the arsh is a jism, is a body, right? The arsh is a body that is contained and limited in from the direction of above and below. That's the throne where he said that Allah is. Now,
Since Allah Ta'ala is, according to Ibn Taymiyyah, possessed of boundaries and limits from all directions, his istiwa upon the throne is settlement and being firmly placed above it with spatial contact between Allah Ta'ala and the throne. Thus, according to him, Allah Ta'ala can only be upon it with spatial contact.
And remember, so Ibn Taymiyyah, he said that Allah is mutahayyizun mahdudun min sa'ir jihad. Min sa'ir al-jihad. Allah is in a space contained, limited from the other directions. There is nothing above Allah, he says, but the rest of the directions, Allah is in that location, right? And contrast that, because we studied at Tahawiyah, when Imam Tahawi said that Allah is not contained by the 6 directions, right? As is the creation of the other creations. Not Ibn Taymiyyah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in a direction. And there is nothing above him, but everything else, because he is above the arsh, separated from the earth, in a place, in a direction. Well, Ibn Tahawi, rahimahullah, he said that Allah is not in direction. Now, which I will show you later, all of the commentaries from Ibn Abi al-Iz, who was a student of Ibn Taymiyyah, and all Al-Albany, Bin Baz, Fawzan, all of those other scholars who wrote among those who followed Ibn Taymiyyah or Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, those ideas, all of them, when it gets to this statement of a Tahawi, they explain the book of a Tahawi, they refute Imam Tahawi in this issue. And Imam Tahawi is from the Salaf. And all of the scholars of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah who were before them, who explained the creed of a Tahawi, they all affirm that Allah is clear from the 6 directions. So it's a deep contrast. And I make these opposites clear so that you know they cannot be combined. So you cannot be in the fence on the issue. You cannot say, oh, it's all right. No, there are distinct concepts, distinct different beliefs. One is right, one is wrong. And of course, that which At-Tahawi mentioned and the majority of the Ummah mentioned is correct, meaning Allah is not in a direction. And that which Al-Mujassima, Ibn Taymiyyah, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, Al-Albani, Bin Baz, Ibn Uthaymeen, Fawzan, after them, to name a few, those small groups of individuals who attribute to Allah direction are all negated by the vast majority of this nation. And you should understand that those relative small groups of individuals, they're not even groups of scholars, because they're in space and time in history. They were individuals throughout history who had heretical beliefs that the majority of the scholars of their time rejected. And that is historically a fact, even to this day, today. Now,
this is what Ibn Taymiyyah meant when he spoke of istiwa and aboveness, and it is the meaning he claimed to be apparent from the divine text of the Quranic verses and Hadith reports. This is the meaning negated by the people of truth, which subsequently led Ibn Taymiyyah to claim that they denied and negated an attribute affirmed for Allah Ta'ala. Ibn Taymiyyah said, an example of that, all of the divine texts prove that the deity is described with highness, ulu, being above the creation and rising above the throne. As for his highness and distinction, mubayana, from creation, this is known by the intellect that is in agreement with the revelation. As for his rising above the throne, the method of knowing that is through revelation. The method of knowing that is through revelation. There is nothing in the book or the sunnah that describes him as being neither inside of the universe nor outside of it, or being neither distinct from it or non-distinct. After coming to know what Ibn Taymiyyah intended by istiwa and aboveness, it is clear that his claim is false and that the divine texts do not affirm such a thing. The divine texts indicate an aboveness of power, domination, and loftiness of the divine entity and his attributes above the creation, not an aboveness of place, boundary, and direction. The word above has two connotations. It can be said, this book is above the table. This connotation is only one of physical place and direction. This sentence means that the place and boundary of the book is located above the place of the table and its boundary. It can also be said, this sultan is above that sultan. This does not mean that the place, direction, and boundary of the former are above the latter. This sentence means that the power, authority, and force of the first sultan are above the second sultan. Aboveness, therefore, possesses these two meanings when used linguistically. Were you to ask, how we understood the first example to indicate physical location and boundary, and how we understood the second example to indicate power and authority, we would respond by saying that the word above only indicates a universal meaning, a particular relation between two things. The word above, it in and of itself, indicates this relation and does not indicate the actual reality of the two things. The relation between two things is only in accordance with the scope of homonymy, ishtirak,
Mhm.
between their two realities, and then this sharing is described with the word aboveness. One thing cannot be above another thing unless they both share in one reality that is subject to variance. This
Mhm.
is why we say so and so is above so and so in prestige. So and so is above
Prestige, al status, rank.
so and so is above so and so in authority.
So
I'm
and
sorry,
so
I
is above
skipped.
so and so in direction.
In direction, excuse me. So
Mhm.
and so is above so and so in direction. So and so is above so and so in authority. So and so is above so and so in intelligence. So and so is above so and so in boundary. Yes. So and so is above so and so in weight. So and so is above so and so in corruption. So and so is above so and so in harshness. And so is above so and so in softness, and so on. When taken alone, the word above indicates nothing regarding prestige, direction, authority, intelligence, boundary, weight, corruption, harshness, or softness, or anything else. The word above only indicates the relation between two things that share any meaning that is subject to variance from one degree to another. When we use the word above, we are describing this relation. The word above, in and of itself, does not indicate which of the two connotations it applies to.
Mhm.
The word above by itself does not indicate a direction, boundary, or place. Thus, it is impermissible for us to use the word above as a proof of affirming that Allah Ta'ala is physically above His creation. If we wish to affirm direction and place, we must affirm them with other proofs and not with the mere usage of the word above. After that, this aboveness can indicate the exact relation between this place of Allah Ta'ala, if it is established, and the place of something other than Him, and it can be asked if He is above it, below it, to its right, or to its left, and so on.
Mhm.
As for Ibn Taymiyyah's view that the mere usage of the word above proves direction, this is nothing but fallacious reasoning, ignorance of what words indicate, and a statement without knowledge. As such, Ibn Taymiyyah's claim that the intellect and revelation prove his belief that Allah Ta'ala is described with a place is merely fallacious reasoning. As you see, Ibn Taymiyyah would often use words such as loftiness, above, and istiwa. None of these words indicate the meanings Ibn Taymiyyah alluded to. Just as we explained with regard to the word above, the same may be said with regard to the word loftiness. As for the word istiwa, its original meaning in the language is the completion of something. The istiwa of something means it was perfected and completed. You can say, I completely I completely stood up. I bowed completely. I prostrated completely. The authority of the king was complete. I sat down completely. The work was completed, and so on. Istiwa indicates the completion of something and is linked to something after it in the Arabic sentence structure. Istiwa is an attribute for what comes after it in Arabic. When you say, I sat down completely, it means my sitting was finished and completed. When you say the authority of the king was complete, it means that his dominion was completed. So the word that is linked to istiwa is the word which explains to us the context of the meaning. Otherwise, when taken alone, the word istiwa only means completion. This is what we say regarding Allah Ta'ala.
Completion or perfection. Completion and perfection.
Completion and perfection. Sorry.
Yes.
This
Tamam wal kamal. Mm.
this is what we say regarding Allah Ta'ala's words. Then he istawa, verb form of istiwa, over the throne. He knows what enters the earth. Al Hadid, Surah 57, Ayah 57, Surah 57, Ayah 4. Here, istiwa is the description of knowledge. This verse means that his knowledge is complete, is linked to all particulars, and that nothing escapes it. Similarly, Allah Ta'ala said, Then he istawa over the throne. He covers the night and the day. Al-Araf, Surah 7, Ayah 54. This verse means that his free disposal over the heavens and earth was completed after his creation of them. This completion is a description of the free disposal. The same can be said regarding all of the verses to which Ibn Taymiyyah clung. If this is the
Here, you're
meaning,
going to notice, and you're going to notice that the word istawa in the Arabic language has multiple meanings. Some of the scholars, they counted around 15 different meanings. Some of those meanings are befitting to attribute to Allah, and some of those meanings are not befitting. If you check the main Arabic dictionaries and the classical Arabic dictionaries, you will notice that when they give the different meanings of al-istiwa, those scholars of the Arabic language, they didn't give any of those non-befitting meanings to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you check Lisan al-Arab, or you that's a major dictionary. If you check Taj al-Arus, there's a major dictionary. You won't find, and when they mention these verses, you will never find them mention them with a bad meaning for Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, which is place, location. You won't find. And when they mention, and they would mention verses of the Quran where the word istawa is used and its meaning according to the language in that verse. So this is something, but because we're not exposed to these dictionaries and we don't really know what those scholars said, and they don't tell us, they don't show us, we never realize that that's happening, right? And this is important, right? Listen, let's be fact checkers, right? Right? What do I mean? None of us made any of these things up. None of us. I'm talking about us in our time. Everything we learn has been transmitted to us, right? So what has happened is we have a bunch of facts, or let's say not facts. We have a bunch of information in front of us. It is our job to sift through this information and figure out what is correct and what is incorrect, and where it came from and how we got it, and to understand it. That's all our job. Then to believe according to our research. That's all we can do. We have no other choice, right? So when we're discussing a thing, we want to know its actual source, from where we got it, right? So that at least we know that the information we got is confirmed, right? That's number one. And that's going to be a process that we're not going to be able to every lesson go over every single, here, this is the source for this. But our job in research is to find those sources, right? And once we have those sources, we can start to understand what is correct, what is attributed. I'll give you an example of a research we done yesterday. So we were talking about, me and another person, we were talking about Ibn Taymiyyah. And it was mentioned during the conversation that Ibn Taymiyyah repented before he died. So we shouldn't attribute him with dying upon those bad beliefs, right? That was the claim. So obviously, that's possible. I wasn't there when Ibn Taymiyyah died, right? Right, I wasn't there, and neither was the person I was talking to, right? So I asked him, I said, listen, when was this this retraction, right? When was this retraction? I said, because Ibn Taymiyyah was in jail for the last 2 years of his life. And he died in prison. So if he made this, and he died in the year 728. So from 726 to 728, he was in prison by the judgment of the 4 chief judges of every school: the chief judge of the Hanafis, the chief judge of the Malikis, the chief judge of the Shafis, and the chief judge of the Hanbalis. All of them, all 4 schools, the chief judges put him in prison till he died. Right? That was the judgment, and that's how he died, in the prison. So the person said, yo, it's in this book. I said, okay. So we went to check the book, and it is true that he did retract his beliefs, but that was in the year 707. What he was reading, which was true, in Ibn Taymiyyah's own handwriting, but it was in the year 707, which is consistent with his career, that Ibn Taymiyyah had these ideas, then he would be brought to the court, then he would retract them, and then later return to them in private, right? Ultimately, the judges said, okay, you keep coming, you retract, we let you go, you come back, now we're just going to imprison you. And everyone who is having your ideas, we're going to do the same for them. It wasn't only Ibn Taymiyyah who was in prison. There were others who followed him who were imprisoned as well. And as some of the scholars said, the reason why the scholars dealt with him because of that, the way they dealt with him, is because a lot of his ideas were concealed during his lifetime. They were only known from his writings after his death, because he would hide his ideas. So you could not accuse him, because he would retract, he would go back, he would retract, he would privately say things, this was his situation. He was always between these matters. So the scholars, they just imprisoned him so that his fitna would not spread. But after he died, his writings became well known and people knew what he was actually saying. Y'all follow that? Is that clear? But the person was reading, but he didn't read when the statement was made. It was in the year 707. So 20 years later, Ibn Taymiyyah was still at his business, but it was private. And I think you got to miss context. There was an Islamic government. If he say his ideas, they're going to bring him to court and put him in prison. And it is possible for some of those ideas he could be executed. So he used to hide those ideas. He couldn't publicly just say what he really felt. It's not like today. They had real Islamic government, and there was rules, and they would bring you to court. There was muftis, there was judges. You can't just do whatever you want. There was an Islamic government ruled by the sacred law. And the rules were applied. So he lived in that context, not the context we live in. So you got to understand time and place and situation and context. All that is relevant. Okay, where we at? What page?
Page 125. First paragraph, last sentence.
First paragraph, 125.
Correct.
Okay, let me see something. Hold on. All right. Let us read that last line and we'll pause. Maybe we should go to the next paragraph, the second paragraph. We'll read up to the second paragraph. Okay, go ahead.
If this is the meaning of istiwa, then why did Ibn Taymiyyah rebuke those who opposed him in this? The reader should know that Ibn Taymiyyah had the audacity to claim that istiwa by itself means sitting and settlement upon something, or that these two things are from its implications. Ibn Taymiyyah did not pay any attention to the real meaning of istiwa. Instead, he claimed, without any proof, that istiwa means sitting. According to Ibn Taymiyyah, Allah Ta'ala's words, "Then he istawa over the throne," mean that he sat and settled upon the throne. Ponder the vast difference between what we say and what he said. We believe that istiwa is an attribute of his action, or an attribute describing its linkage with his attribute. We do not believe that istiwa is sitting and settlement, or an attribute of his entity. There is a vast difference between saying that istiwa is a description of the linkage of Allah Ta'ala's attribute, or an attribute of Allah Ta'ala's action, and saying that it is an attribute of Allah Ta'ala's entity.
Let's stop right there. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So here, I just want to highlight a point, right? If we're talking about these issues, then these issues are issues of clarifying the creed. Don't get wrapped up in Ibn Taymiyyah as a person, right? Don't get wrapped up in him as a person. The real point here is that we don't fall into Ibn Taymiyyah's errors, right? That's the real essence. That's the real point. Ibn Taymiyyah himself is not our concern as an individual. Our concern is that we don't have his bad ideas. Ibn Taymiyyah has died, and his affair is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who will deal with him according to his justice. Our concern is what has been left behind by Ibn Taymiyyah, right? Which we are confronted with today. And our job is to distinguish what is right and what is wrong in relation to what he left that is affecting us today, right? Let me give you an analogy. As Black African Americans, are we concerned with the name of the slave masters individually, who was the slave master? Or are we more concerned with the legacy and the traces of slavery that we're still dealing with? Which one? That's a question. Because even though the slave masters, whoever they may be, even the engineers of slavery, they're irrelevant to what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with the traces of their work. We cannot do nothing about them, but we have to do something about what they left, right? It's still affecting us, so we have to deal with that. In the same way, don't make your deen about Ibn Taymiyyah. That's not our religion. What we need to do is protect ourselves from those bad beliefs that came from his writings that are now rehashed in the writings of modern day Wahhabi or Salafi movement. That's our concern. That's what we're confronted with. That's what's in our neighborhoods. That's what's being spread in our communities. And the people in our communities, most of them don't even know who Ibn Taymiyyah is. He's irrelevant. They know the person who's carrying Ibn Taymiyyah's ideas. Do you understand that? When you go in the heart of the community, the average person doesn't know who Ibn Taymiyyah is or anything about him. Even if he knows his name, he doesn't know anything about him. But what he does know is he knows the individual who is carrying Ibn Taymiyyah's ideas. So to him, that's who he's referring to. He doesn't realize that the person that he's following has the ideas of Ibn Taymiyyah, which are not correct. Do you understand the importance of that? So they can easily spread Ibn Taymiyyah's ideas without never mentioning Ibn Taymiyyah, because the people have been accustomed to hearing Ibn Taymiyyah's ideas without his name. You have to be wise. Don't waste your time on Ibn Taymiyyah the person. Spend your time correcting the misconceptions that he left behind as a legacy for those anthropomorphists and likeners of Allah to the creation in our time. Do you follow? Dope is dope no matter what stamp you put on it. It's still dope. The name is irrelevant. It's dangerous. Some are more dangerous than others, but it's all dangerous. Let's get rid of the dope in our neighborhoods. Stop worrying about the particular drug dealer. He's not important. He's going to go away, and someone else is going to pick up the bag of dope and start selling it in the neighborhood. You need to stop the dope trade, not just the particular drug dealer. The drug dealer is going to change, but they're going to be selling dope, the same dope dealer. The same drugs are going to be in the neighborhood, just someone else. When this group get knocked off, another group picks it up. You got to stop the drugs. I'm just giving analogies, stuff that we see clearly, right? What we have to do is stop the drug trade, the trafficking of drugs in our neighborhood, right? Not the individual to worry about who is the one selling it. Doesn't matter. It's going to keep going. Same thing with this aspect. We have to stop anthropomorphism and likening Allah to his creation. No matter who's the one carrying it, it doesn't matter. We have to stop the idea. If you stop the idea, you ain't gonna have a person. You have to refute the idea of anthropomorphism. You have to instill in our people that Allah is not like the creation, that Allah does not have bodily attributes, that the apparent meanings of the verses of the Quran, his name was Ahmed ibn Taymiyyah. Ahmed ibn Taymiyyah. You understand my point? So this is important. Because Ibn Taymiyyah is dead. He died in the year 728. Right? That was 700 and almost 800 years ago. We're still dealing with the issue. Right? We're dealing with the issue. He's gone. Didn't care about Ibn Taymiyyah in that sense. Right? Even if on his deathbed he repented to Allah, right? Even if he did. I wasn't there, and neither was no one here, right? We weren't there. We don't know what was in his heart. We don't know what he said on his last deathbed. We weren't there, right? And even if it was reported to us, we got to make sure the report was sound. So that's irrelevant, right? What is here is those ideas that he definitely conveyed that are still present and being spread in our communities. That is for sure, regardless of the station of him. Those ideas are still being spread in our neighborhood, right? I really want to free us from captivity as a people, seriously. Mental slavery, spiritual slavery, Islamic abuse in creed and practice. If I could die and did that, and I was successful at lifting that veil from some of us, I would die with a smile on my face. Seriously. We have to make a serious change in our condition as a people. In Islam, we have a lot of work to do. Seriously. We have a lot of work to do. All of them, the question, read or check the message, private message. The Wahhabiyya Salafiyya movement is the ideas of Ibn Taymiyyah rehashed. They're the same. So Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and all those who came after him up to the day, they're just repeating the ideas of Ibn Taymiyyah, and sometimes with new twists and new things, but it's the same thing. So that's who. And this is hard, right? But here's the catch. I want to share this with you, right? I'm done with the book for today. So if you need to go ahead. I'm just talking about these ideas. Here's the catch. If we're looking at the idea, we'll examine what Ibn Taymiyyah said. How do we know what he said? From his books that are published, from his writings that are made available, right? Those writings have been conveyed to us. We examine those writings. We see what he said. Then today, people are writing books. They are giving lectures. When we listen to their lectures, we read their books, we see that these are the same concepts and principles that Ibn Taymiyyah had. Even if they don't mention Ibn Taymiyyah, we know that these things you mentioned were mentioned before by Ahmed ibn Taymiyyah. And these were the same ideas that the scholars in that time and thereafter, and the generations who preceded you with this claim, have refuted. That's historical facts. All we have to do is research and we'll see it. So now we're saying, you coming up with these ideas, right? These are the same ideas. These ideas are rejected. No matter who says it, doesn't matter, right? These ideas are rejected. Simple. And here's are the response of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah of these ideas. That's it. No one's making things up. They're just repeating things historically. Every now and then when you have a new thing come up, some new scholarship comes to confront the new thing. But when you're talking about the things that are just repeated, it's already a historic precedent how to deal with it. You just don't know it. Those ideas have already been dealt with. They're not new. They may be rehashed and recast into a new form, but it's the same idea. And it was dealt with in the works of these scholars and these scholars and these scholars. And it's easy to unravel the confusion. You just refer to history. That's it. Okay, let me give you an example. I was talking earlier, right, about people subjugating African Americans in the name of Islam. All right, let's just be fair. Some people came from another country. They came to the Black community. They saw the Blacks in a condition. They got a few Blacks. They taught them a few things, had them, helped them build. Those Blacks went and built, went out with the things that they were taught, went in the Black community, debated with different Black communities. The community got divided. Those people who came in, they took all of the property, all of the things were built. They took it, moved out of the area, funded themselves, built their own stuff, and left the Blacks in the condition of confusion. Okay, that's true, right? That's true. Now that's modern stuff, right? Have we not seen that in the Black community before? Is this the first time we've seen that? What I just described, a group, even in Islam, I'm talking about, a group of immigrants come in the Black community, teach a few Blacks, those Blacks fight with the other Blacks, right? Then those individuals get the wealth of those Blacks, discard those Blacks, build for their own, get the money, take it to where they want, support themselves, and the Blacks are left in a position of fighting, broke, and disenfranchised. Have we not seen that in Islam before those people? Yes, we have. Have we not seen that with the American society? We watching this every day in our communities. Haven't we seen this move before? People learn from history. This is how you deal with Black folks. They're easy to take advantage of them. They study history. They know how to deal with us. The problem is we don't study history to refute them. So what happened when they did that to Black communities and Black communities wanted to rise up? We had some among the Blacks who said, no, get their foot off our neck. And they got the others together. They empowered themselves. They worked together. All that division that the other ones caused them to do among themselves, they said, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to stick together. We're going to bond together, and we're going to get the slave master out of our area. We're going to get the oppressor out of our area. We're going to work together, and we're going to build Black Wall Street. Isn't that the same thing? Isn't that what Malcolm X was doing? Isn't that what Marcus Garvey was doing? Isn't that what all of our strong Black leaders understood? Don't we all know the divide and conquer move? Send this Black to this Black, organize this Black. Don't we know that stuff? We're adults, we're not kids. We've seen this stuff over and over. It's like playing sports. You should already know the moves. If you've seen the person, what does they do if you're in boxing or sports? We like sports. Black people love sports. If you're in sports, you're in boxing, basketball, football, whatever sport you play, and Blacks are usually in those sports, basketball, football, boxing. Every time you learn sports, what do? Study the tape. Study the tapes. They sit the team down and they watch the tapes because certain things are just known. Study the tapes. If you study the tapes, you can counteract the play. Divide and conquer has always been a tool that was used to destroy the black community. It's being used in Islam too. So a person that could potentially be your brother, someone else told you he's your enemy and pulled you away from him so you won't work with him. And then he got that in your mind and let you go tell the others that that black guy is against us. Wait a minute, he's against us? You're not us. You are subjugating us. He's actually trying to help us. You follow my point? But we don't read. We don't read. We don't read. If we read history, not just Islamic books, read history, we see this play all the time in our communities. And I want to share something to you. Please put this in the comments. Everyone, please post it. Black Muslims have the same problems as black people. Please put it. Black Muslims have the same problems as black people. Please put it up. I want to give you a couple things. I'm going to shake the throne of anyone who oppresses black people and black Muslims. I want to shake their throne and hope they fall off on their head. I said it. I want to shake their throne and I hope they fall off on their head and break their neck if they don't change. If they don't change. If they change, alhamdulillah, that's what we want. But if not, I want them to fall off the throne and break their neck. If they change, alhamdulillah. Now let me explain something to you. Black Muslims have the same problems as black people. Keep that. Please put it up. Repeat it 3 times. I want it to cover the whole thing so you see nothing else. Black Muslims have the same problems as black people. I don't want that to change. No apology, no soft shoeing, none of that. Black Muslims have the same problems as black people. I want it, and listen, you're doing a favor to some black people. You're saving generations by putting this up. Trust me. Black Muslims need to be encouraged. A lot of us are afraid. A lot of us have inferiority complex. And people use that to oppress us. You don't know enough deen. You don't know enough Arabic. I haven't taught you that. Why not? Why you haven't taught me that? You taught your children that. Why you didn't teach me? Black Muslims have the same problems black people. That's what the white man told us for years. They still doing it in the school. Let's put him in special education. He needs some medicine. He's very violent. It's the same stuff. Same stuff. You know your people. Yeah, I know my people. I know my people very well. My people built this country. Yeah, my people. My people built your organization. My people built your organization. I know my people. Yes, my people. I know them very well. I live with them. I eat with them. I'm among them. You can't tell me about my people. And I ain't that crazy to let you think you can tell me about my people. I know my people. I am my people. All right, black Muslims have the same problems as black Muslims. Tell you. Black people have been given token positions in society while the rest of the black people suffer. Is this not the case? In order to act like they've been just to black people, when we rebelled, especially during civil rights and Jim Crow, they gave some black people positions of apparent power with no real substance. And the rest of the blacks, they treated them bad. And then they put up some blacks to the other blacks to say, look what we're doing for you black people, while the rest of the blacks are disenfranchised and oppressed. Have we not seen this move? I'm asking you, have we not seen this move? Please follow me. Be patient. It's Sunday morning. I need you to follow me. This is important for future generations. So I'm going to get it out. We've seen this, right? So the fact that the black man is put in front of you as he's the leader, he's giving a khutbah, he's overseeing master's plantation, but he has no real power. But the other ones are all being treated wrong, and they know it. And then when those others complain to those token leaders tell the others, just calm down. Just pipe down. Leave boss alone. I'm good. Boss is giving me something. I'm getting a special lesson from the boss. I know you don't even know anything, but I'm going to take care of you. I got your back. Just leave boss alone and let me get in there. Have we not heard this in our own communities? I'm asking you this speech. Have you not heard that already? Have we not seen that in the black community? Tell me, do you identify the two? To be honest with ourselves. Are you? Now, Mr. Charlie, and now Mr. Charlie has a foreign name for us because we became Muslims. So we recognize Mr. Charlie. We recognize Chuck. We know who that is. But now Mr. Charlie got another name. He got an Arab name, an Arabic name. But he's still in the position of Mr. Charlie and Chuck, same person, doing the same thing to black Muslims that Chuck did to black people. So now you go to that person and you say, we want to do this, 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 this. He says, okay. And he goes back to his handler, Chuck, the boss. Boss, we got to do something for these Negroes. They're getting tired. They're getting impatient. Tell them this. Then he comes out and he tells them this. And it is to push that energy away. Push it away. While I work on another scheme to subdue them, to subjugate them. And that black leader has no real substance. So I want to give you how you fix that. Y'all ready? This is how you fix that. What we need is real power. Power and leadership that is of our own. You need real leadership. In other words, he doesn't go back to Chuck. He doesn't go back to the Arab guy and ask him anything. He himself makes the decision because he's a real leader. You follow what I said? He doesn't go back to anyone and talk about nothing. When you talk to him, that's where the buck stops. Right there. He needs to be a true leader. He doesn't ask anything. He says, this is our needs, this is our concerns, and this is what we're going to do. If he can't do that, he's not a leader. He's not in charge. He's a token in front of you. He can't make a decision. You need real power where he is able to tell Chuck, I don't care what you say, this is what we're doing. Do you follow my point? Is this clear what I'm saying? I'm giving you a something because he'll tell you that your black leaders are not leaders. Your black leaders are not leaders. They're not qualified. They're not this. While he tells you to, I'm teaching you something and I'm allowing you some form of leadership. Let me tell you something as a black imam. I'm a black imam. I'm a leader in my community. If I say it, that's what's going to happen. Inshallah. Unless Allah doesn't allow. But from the leadership position, if I say something, that's what's going to happen. That's a leader. If Imam Naim says something, that's what's going to happen. Imam Naim, am I correct? You're here. He's an imam in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. If Imam Naim says something, that's what's going to happen. Am I right, Imam Naim? Where are you at? Or is your internet slow? He says, I'm going to say something if the internet allows me. Right? Right? Here's Imam Naim. He's a leader. When I talk to Imam Naim, I'm talking to a leader. He's going to move the community. When Imam talks to me, that's who he's talking to, a leader. Now, I want to ask you something. When you got your Imam, my question to you, when you go to him, is he going to make the decision or does he have to go to someone else and hope they approve what he's trying to tell you? Question, black man, black woman, are you making a decision or is someone else giving you orders? Now, the only way you get that, this is a charge on black people. The only way you get that kind of leadership when you support your own leaders. That's the only way you will get that leadership. If you don't support your own leaders, they will not be effective. So they will be weak. And then if they don't have good hearts, they're going to succumb to other people's manipulation. That's how you handle that. So when I call for black leadership, it is because only black leadership is ultimately going to be concerned for black empowerment. Do you hear what I said? And that's natural. That's not something that's strange. Only real black leadership, even in the Islamic sense, is going to be concerned with the condition of black Muslims. Historically, we already know that, don't we? We know that. We already know that. We already know that. Historically, we already know that. And don't think this is division in the ummah. It's not. It's actually benefiting the ummah. It's not division. Because some of us get told that. We're dividing. We're saying that. The oppressed talking about repeating the words of the handler, oh, we're dividing. We're not dividing. We're lifting us up so we can help. So we can be part of the solution for the deen and this ummah, but we have to be empowered to do that. You can't do that as a slave. You can't even help your neighborhood because the boss don't let you. You can't even fix your own neighborhood because the boss don't let you. No, it's not the boss who doesn't let you. Let me rephrase that. You allow the boss to tell you no because you're not a man. I just said it. You allow the so-called boss to tell you no because you're not a man. How many of you would let me come in your house and tell you what to do? Tell you where to put your refrigerator, tell you where to put your stove, tell you where to move your bed, tell you which room your couch go in? Who would let me do that? Any of you, who would let me do that? Tell you where you should live and where you shouldn't live? Who would let me do that? Be honest. I need you if you are like that. No, seriously, who would let me do that? Right? None of you. So that would I need help, I trust you. Right? But even if you let me help me, you're only letting me help you. You're not letting me dictate to you. You're not letting me dictate. You're looking for my help. You're not letting me control you. There's a difference. There's a big difference. Right. Why do you let others come in your neighborhoods and your communities and do that? I'm just like you. Why do you let others come in your neighborhood and your communities and do that? Why? Why do you let someone who knows nothing about you come in your communities and dominate you? Why do you do that? But if I tried to do it, you would fight me hand and tooth and nail, as they say. If any of us tried to do that, you would fight us. But you allow others to treat you worse than we could ever imagine treating you. Fix it. That's my message for today. Fix it. So listen, some of you are wondering how to stop this movement we got going on. Some of you are sitting in back rooms saying, how can we stop these guys and what they're doing, Black Imams Roundtable and all this? How can we slow it down? I'll tell you. I'll help you. Stop being unjust to Black people and we won't have nothing to talk about. That's easy, simple. Stop being unjust to Black Muslims and we won't have nothing to talk about. That's how you stop it. But so long as you are unjust, you're feeding us with material. You heard that? If you want to stop us, stop being unjust. We won't have anything to talk about. No one would be listening. But so long as you remain unjust, you're giving us more material to talk about. So all you got to do is be a good Muslim and stop your oppression. It's done. That's it. Treat others like you want to be treated. Be a good Muslim. That's it. It's done. We have nothing to talk about. No one would want to hear what we have to say if you were doing the right thing. That's it. No one, it wouldn't resonate with anyone because you don't do it. You know why it resonates? Because that's what you're doing. And they feel the pain. That's why it's resonating. You didn't teach them. That's why they're going somewhere else to learn. You act like knowledge was your prized possession that you own, and you didn't share it equally. So when they see someone else sharing it, they go. That's human nature. I thought you was smart. I thought you were intelligent. Didn't you realize that oppression won't last? Didn't you read the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and saw how Allah dealt with oppressors and unjust people? Didn't you realize from the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ that the Prophet ﷺ was with the weak and oppressed? Didn't you read that in the seerah? I know you did, because I read the same books you read. It's available. It included African Americans, Habibi. It did. I read the same books you read. The same books. The same books. It says it in there. The Prophet loved the weak and the oppressed. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said those weak people are going to be ahead, those poor, fuqara, they're going to be ahead of the aghniya. You quote hadith. There is no superiority over the black, over the white, the Arab over the non-Arab. We all love each other. Well, act like it. We wouldn't have anything to say. You can quote hadith. Practice them, please. Practice what you preach. We wouldn't have a reason to talk. There would be no speech. There would be nothing to talk about. There wouldn't be nothing to talk about. Do you understand that? If you just practice that hadith, that there is no superiority of the Arab over the non-Arab, the white over the black, if you just practice that, we have nothing to say. Done. You can rightfully say, Amin Muhammad is wrong. Who does that? You. That's why people listening. That's it. Stop. Don't do it. Do what the Prophet ﷺ did. Liberate. Empower. He took Bilal from a rock on top of his body in the hot sand to on top of the Kaaba. Hey, why don't you do the same thing? He took Bilal from a rock on his chest in the hot sand to put him on top of the Kaaba, calling to Islam. Why don't you do the same thing? Huh? Why don't you be like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who you sing about all the time, who you praise? Why don't you be like him? Why don't you take that figurative image of Bilal and take it from the bottom and put him on the top? Why don't you do that? Why is that so difficult for you? Why don't you sit down and put a black man in your chair? Why not? Why is that difficult? Why don't you get out the chair and put a black man in the chair? Is that haram? Is that mustahil aqli, intellectual impossibility? Why you don't let a black man be a leader? Why not? Huh? Why don't you move and let the black man run the community? Why not? There's no blacks that are qualified, not even the ones that you made graduates, not one. None of them are qualified. They're all incapable of leadership. Even the ones that you trained and educated, they're still not qualified to be leaders. Why not? Why not? Tell me why not. I just want to understand. I'll have a public discussion with any of those leaders publicly about this issue. Publicly. We can publicly sit down in front of the whole world and discuss this issue. I don't mind. I believe that your intellect should somehow realize that I'm mistaken in this. Right? What's the use of going to college if you're just going to be a janitor? Huh? I'm going to ask you something. Someone goes all the way to the university, gets higher education to come back and be a janitor. Who accepts? Do any of you accept that? Even the white man learned better than that. And he's not Muslim. I'm talking about the oppressive non-Muslim white men in society who run this society. Even they learn better. They actually have black CEOs. They learned that. They learned that. They learned that to an extent. So you send people to learn, and they are equivalent to the janitor. What the heck you go learn for? To be a janitor? And what we need is entrepreneurship. So they should have learned, and they should have expanded, and they should have built, and they should have educated other peoples to build communities all around the country. They did learn, didn't they? They learned Arabic. You taught them, right? Didn't they learn Arabic? Didn't they learn Islamic sciences? You didn't have any leadership classes with that? You didn't teach them how to do da'wah? You didn't teach them? Shame on you. The ones you accuse did it for the other black people. Those Saudi Wahhabi people, they took black people to Saudi Arabia, trained them, taught them Arabic, pushed them back in their communities, and they built things. But you call them kuffar. Well, why don't you do the same thing so kufr doesn't spread in the black neighborhood, or you don't care? Which one? There are blacks building masjids all over the cities that were studying with the Wahhabis in Saudi Arabia. Why won't you allow Ahl Sunnah blacks to do the same thing? And better yet, Ahl Sunnah blacks, why don't you wake up and do the same thing? This is important to me. I hate to take up so much of your time with it, but it is so important because if we do it, we can change the whole situation. I want to ask you something. Seriously. Have you not heard this stuff before from black leaders? Here we are, 2021, and we still talking about the same stuff because I think our condition is worse. When are we going to get it together? I'm sick and tired of it. In my 41 years of Islam and being around Muslims, I'm sick and tired of this picture. And I got gray in my beard now and gray in my hair and losing my hair. I'm tired. I want to see a change. I don't want my children and my grandchildren saying the same thing. I don't want to see it. No. No, absolutely not. I've seen this movie too many times. I am sick and tired of it. And I hope to inspire a group of people among us who are tired of it as well and who are willing to make a change. That's it. Now respond to that. Let me hear your response to that. Don't deviate to some other issue. Don't deviate. Imam Amin, he's not a scholar. He's not even an imam. Amin, he's not a scholar. He doesn't learn. Okay, fine. That's all great. I'm talking about you. I accept. He's not qualified. He's not this. He's not that. I accept. What does that have to do with what we're talking about? Okay, good. I'm not qualified. Could you please present me a man who's qualified? Wipe me out. Wipe me out. Take me out. No, Amin Muhammad. Move me. Could you please present me a black man who's going to do this job? And guess what? When you present him, I'll give him a seat next to me. How about that? When you present him, I'll give him a seat next to me. And if he's not your puppet, I'll get out the way and give him a platform. Since you won't, I'll give him a platform. Send him. I'll do what I'm challenging you to do. I'll sit down when you bring him. But I'm going to make sure he's a man first. He's going to be tested. You're not going to send me Sambo. That's not going to work. You're going to have to send me a man. And I'm going to make sure he's a man because I'm going to put man stuff on him. There you go. There's your challenge. Send one. Since I'm not the one, you send one. Bring them. Let's let the world see what you produce. Bring them. And he knows that if he comes in this arena, he better be a man. He better be a man. We don't accept no tap dancing Negro. It's not going to work. So send a man. Send a man. You're not going to send no tap dancing, Sambo, boots slicking, shoe shining Negro. That's not going to work. Send a man. And I end with that. This message, spread it. Everyone press the share button. I don't want them to miss it. Press the share button. I said it, and I stand on it. And I mean it with my life. I stand on it. This difference is easy to solve. It's not complicated. All we have to do is be good Muslims. And that applies to us, and it applies to you too. That's it. You're not talking to boys. You're talking to men. And you don't send boys to men. You're not talking to boys. You're talking to men. And you don't send boys to men. Period. May Allah reward you all, inshallah. Tonight is the closing, I believe, of Sheikh Waleed's class in Al-Aqidah As-Sunusiyya. So please join for the ending of that book at 8 o'clock. And remember today at 4 o'clock, Sister Fatima and Sister Samira and the brothers, they have a good show on fatherhood tonight, today at 4 o'clock. Please tune in on Facebook and YouTube for their 3, 4, 5 show. May Allah give them success and tawfiq. Barakallahu bikum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.